In just days, the entire Middle East changed. And America's right in the middle of it.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Began as precise, targeted operations as escalated into a high-stakes showdown that could reshape the world. Under President Trump's orders, the US teamed up with Israel for massive strikes deep inside Iran. Reports confirm top Iranian military brass and intel chiefs were taken out, sending shockwaves through the region and beyond. But Iran hit back hard and fast. Ballistic missiles rained down, targeting US bases across the area. Our brave service members are on the front lines, with reports of American casualties already mounting. Air raid sirens blared as Gulf allies like the UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia braced for impact. Even Dubai, one of the world's safest hubs for business and tourism, grounded flights amid the threats. Social media lit up with videos of missile defenses lighting up the night sky over key cities. This isn't some far-off skirmish anymore. It's direct and dangerous. Iranian leaders are promising a devastating response, labeling US and Israeli assets as fair game. And the bombshell, confirmation that Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was in the strikes. That's a game changer, potentially the biggest shift in Middle East power since the fall of Saddam Hussein. Now, it's not just about who fired first. The real question for us, how does this affect America?
And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon.
For years, Iran has been a thorn in our side, funding proxies, launching cyber attacks, and threatening our allies through shadow wars and fiery rhetoric. The US has stood firm with Israel, countering Iran's reach across the region. But this is next level. President Trump called it Operation Epic Fury.
The United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury,
aiming to crush threats and spark real change in Tehran. If it spirals, we're talking skyrocketing oil prices hitting your wallet at the pump, disruptions to global shipping that could spike costs for everything from groceries to gadgets, and strained alliances that test our military might worldwide. Now, if you are thinking why things are so cooked, so I'm gonna break it down to entire history, including nuclear stuff, proxy fights, and why the whole world is watching this closely. Let's get into it. First off, let's rewind the clock because this beef didn't start yesterday. Believe it or not, Iran and Israel used to be buddies. Back in the 1950s and 60s, under Iran's king, the Shah, they had solid ties. Iran was one of the first Muslim-majority countries to recognize Israel after it became a state in 1948. They traded oil, shared intel, and even worked together on military tech because they both saw Arab countries like Iraq and Egypt as bigger threats. The US was in the mix too, helping both nations as part of its Atoms for Peace program in the 50s, which kicked off Iran's nuclear energy efforts with American support. But everything flipped in 1979 with the Iranian Revolution. A religious leader named Ayatollah Khamenei led a massive uprising that kicked out the Shah and turned Iran into an Islamic republic. Khomeini saw the US and Israel as symbols of Western imperialism, basically bullies oppressing Muslims and Arabs. He called Israel a cancerous tumor that needed to be removed and started backing Palestinian groups fighting for their land. This wasn't just talk, it set the stage for decades of bad blood. Iran cut all ties with Israel and the two became arch enemies. The revolution also made Iran anti-American, especially after the US backed the Shah and later supported Iraq in the brutal Iran-Iraq War from 1980 to 1988, where millions died. Now, fast forward to the nuclear angle, which is a huge part of why things boiled over recently. Iran's nuclear program started innocently enough under the Shah for power plants, but after the revolution, it went underground. By the early 2000s, the world found out Iran was secretly enriching uranium. That's the process of concentrating a special isotope called U-235 to make fuel, or bombs if you crank it up high enough. Natural uranium is only about 0.7% U-235, but for nukes, you need 90% or more. Iran signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty in 1968, promising not to build weapons, but suspicions grew. Under President Obama, the US, Iran, and other big powers signed the JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. It capped Iran's enrichment at 3.67%, limited centrifuges, those spinning machines that enrich uranium, and let inspectors in. In return, sanctions on on Iran were lifted. But in 2018, President Trump pulled the US out, calling it a bad deal, and slapped on tough sanctions again. Iran started breaking the limits in 2019, enriching to 20%, then 60% by 2021. By May 2025, the IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, reported Iran had hit 60% and was stockpiling enough material to potentially make a bomb in weeks if they pushed to 90%. That's when alarms went off big time. Israel has always seen Iran's nukes as an existential threat, meaning it could wipe them off the map. Remember, Israel bombed Iraq's nuclear reactor in 1981 and Syria's in 2007 to stop those programs. They've done cyber attacks too, like Stuxnet in 2010 with US help, which wrecked Iran's centrifuges. But Iran kept going, and by 2024 to 2025, things escalated from shadow wars to direct hits. Iran built up a network of allies, what they call the Axis of Resistance, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, formed in 1982 with Iranian help, Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, and militias in Iraq and Syria. These groups surround Israel and have launched thousands of rockets and attacks, especially after the Israel-Hamas war started in October 2023. Iran's leaders have said stuff like Israel must be eradicated, and their missiles can reach Tel Aviv in minutes. Israel, being a small country, figures one nuke could devastate them. Plus, Iran's not just defensive. They've funded these proxies to poke at Israel constantly. Israel's motto is basically never again after the Holocaust, so they strike first, like their philosophy of shoot first, ask questions later. Then there's the economic side. Look at the map. The Strait of Hormuz is this narrow waterway off Iran's coast, where 20% of the world's oil flows through every day. Countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Iraq, and Kuwait ship their crude out that way. If Iran gets nukes, they could threaten to close it or use it as leverage, spiking oil prices worldwide and causing recessions. That's why the US is so involved, protecting global energy and their ally Israel. America worries if Iran goes nuclear, it'll spark an arms race. Saudi Arabia's crown prince said flat out, if they get one, we will too.
Are you concerned, though, Iran gets a nuclear weapon, about them getting a nuclear weapon?
Country use a nuclear weapon, that means they are having a war with the rest of the world.
If they get one, will you?
If they get one, we have to get one.
UAE and others might follow. Recent stuff? It hit a boiling point in 2024 with direct drone and missile swaps after proxy attacks. Then in June 2025, Israel launched a big strike on Iran's nuclear sites like Natanz and Fordow, plus military bases. The US jumped in, hitting more spots, and it turned into a 12-day war. They damaged Iran's program but didn't destroy it completely. Experts say it set them back months, not years. A ceasefire held, but tensions simmered. Protests erupted in Iran late 2025 over the economy tanking from sanctions and war damage, leading to brutal crackdowns in January 2026. And now, in late February 2026, it's exploding again. The US and Israel hit Iran hard on February 28th, targeting nuclear facilities, missile sites, and even killing Supreme Leader Khamenei in Tehran strikes. Iran fired back with ballistic missiles at Israel and US bases in the region, places like Qatar, Bahrain, and UAE. Explosions rocked Tehran, and Iran's vowing massive revenge, calling it a declaration of war on Muslims. The UN scrambling with emergency meetings and airspace is shut down. Trump's pushing for regime change, saying it's Iran's chance to overthrow their government. Why all this now? Iran's nuclear program was rebounding, enriching close to weapons grade again. Plus, with Hezbollah weakened, Syria's Assad gone, and Iran's defenses battered from the 2025 war, Israel and the US saw a window to finish the job. But Iran's still got missiles and proxies, so this could drag on, or pull in Russia and China, who back Iran. Look, war sucks, especially one that could go nuclear or crash the economy. Nobody wins in a mess like this. All we can hope is diplomacy kicks in, maybe a new deal or talks to cool things down. If you found this helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns on world events. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think happens next? Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.